Well, good morning and welcome to Wednesday Wellness. Today is our wellness workshop, and I want to think about our being able to reshape ourselves. Have you ever thought about this? You are spread thin. You need more of you. You are twisted in so many different directions, and you feel like you are stretched beyond capability. Isn't it amazing that our lives are of different shapes, of different directions, and yet we don't even realize that our lives are shaped. Good morning, Trish. Good morning.
Good morning.
And so, as we reshape our lives, I would like you to think, how can it bring wellness to you? Or does it? That's a good question. What do you think, Trish, about that question?
I think that's a very good question because when you shape yourself, sometimes it's good for you, sometimes it's bad, and it's good to ask yourself, is this beneficial to me or not?
Okay, and when you say bad, how do you mean that?
Something, okay, what I mean by bad, which is like a negative change, something that isn't good for you. It could be whether it's not good for your health or good for your mentality or that sort of thing.
Yes. And so when we're thinking of our mentality, and we're thinking of our mindset, I should say, we have to think in the direction of positive feedback. So we're going to talk about this for a second. And so reshaping your life. Since Wednesday is all about wellness, what are we changing? Where's our direction going? And is our habits, the way we think, the way we believe, going in that direction to provide a better you? That's going to be left up for you to answer, but in these minutes we're going to talk about it. People are all about change. Change is inevitable, as we found out with our Wellness Wednesday. The purpose of Wellness Wednesday is to be well, get well, work on your wellness, and stay well. What does that require? Well, we know that our mind, our brain, constantly is absorbing new information. Our mind observes new information. Do we limit ourselves in the way that we think? You know, whenever you get into a group discussion, I may not think the way you do, you may not think the way I do, and so many of you out there that listen to us continually, you have your own point of view, and we never want you to stop believing. And we always want to add growth to that. But did you know that the way that we reshape our brain is limitless, not limited? Because remember, we think about different thoughts. For instance, when you were younger, your younger self may not feel the way you do about shapes. You know, in kindergarten, we're always dealing with shapes and colors. That's to form our life to where we're going to be drawing, where we're going to be taking in information. I say draw a circle. What does your mind think when I say draw a circle? You're looking for something that is circle in your young life. But in your older life, if I say draw an object that is circle, you do what? What would you draw, Trish?
I would draw a ball.
And I would draw a plate. Circle, right? And so our lives are full of shapes. Everywhere we look, something is shaped. We think of a window. Windows are many sides. Some are square, while others are other shape, and we continue to draw from that. That is a mind shift because you think differently. So if I ask you to draw a shape, the geometrics of shapes could be any kind. You get in older grades, you're learning shapes through math. But now, there's change. We think and we act. So when you're reshaping something, your habits that you have formed from young life to the age that you are now, have you aligned yourself with new for yourself? Are you still in the same behavioral pattern? Have you ever heard the saying, they always act like that? How many of you have heard that?
A lot.
Go ahead, Trish, I'm sorry.
I was saying I hear that a lot.
Yeah. Or we expect someone to act a certain way. Is there newness to the expectation of yourself or the expectation of others? We want you to think about change. Or do we say, I'm not the way I used to be? How many of us have said that? Because sometimes all it does is take not words, but action, so that someone can say, I've changed. Or have you said that about yourself or someone else? Think about the reshaping of your life and what it means. And we're going to always work on something. How about when you reshape something? How many of you have ever played with Play-Doh or some sort of clay?
I have.
Yeah. And what did you do with that clay?
I always reshaped it into something else. And sometimes, right, when you make something and it sits there for a while, you're like, I can make this into something else. And you reshape it into whatever you want to make it to.
Okay. So in our workshop, when we are in our Wednesday workshop, We will be doing projects like this in the Healing Center. We will be doing projects that have to do with how you see it, how you envision shapes. Trish said with clay, making it into shapes, bettering that, or making it all together into something. Why do we do that? Because our mind begins to think about things, making adapted versions. Can we adapt something or adjust something? And I think it would be a fun craft to do, not only for adults, but even limit it to the children's group that we are having in the Healing Center. So if I said I would like you to roll your clay into a ball, easy enough, right? Because there again is that three-dimensional circle. Now it becomes alive. And by the way, if you guys want to donate Play-Doh to us, we'd be happy to have it. All colors. And that's for the Healing Center, 1317 East Palmdale Boulevard, Palmdale, California, 93550. Personal growth. The Welling. For 6 years now, we have been talking about Wednesday Wellness. That is now a workshop for you if you care to join it. Development of something new. Something that has a positive outcome. Personal growth. When we are reshaping ourselves. Remodeling. There's a lot of people that do craft. There are people who build planes as models, cars, all kind of art. You look for ways that you can change, add, adapt, reinvent. But now we're going to put you in the place of that. Reinventing. You ever get tired of just being tired? How many of you are just tired of being tired and you want to do something different? Let me ask you this. Since we're in the year 2026 and we're now in April of 2026, what have you gotten tired of doing? And you have to be honest. What have you gotten tired of doing? Maybe getting up, doing the same old regimen. Maybe there's a job that you can't get away from because it pays the bills, and mind you, that jobs are not as easy to come by. Or maybe you're working on a project. What could you do to reinvent your environment? Anybody have any questions? And by the way, our call-in number is 1-888-721-9260. You say, I'm tired. Have you ever thought in that tiredness to do something different? You know, every day you may go to a job and you have to you have to check in, clock in, clock out. But in the midst of your job, have you thought about reinventing, maybe going a different way, maybe getting there 5 minutes early so you can do something that's going to help you to reshape your life? I've talked about the thing of my being a creature of habit, a human of habit, I should say. I want to do things the same way, drive the same way, go the same way, instead of maybe reinventing or reshaping to do something different. What I want you to understand is that you over there, you over here, you up there, you can set priority when reshaping your life. And what may benefit me may not benefit you. So this is not the program about that. What I'd like you to do is be able to connect with yourself while you are thinking about goals like you want to get better at something. Whether it's something you like to play, something you like to do, or even in your daily life or something that has to be done. You don't get that choice. It just has to be done. Are you thinking about prioritizing your life? We think about self-improving. Everybody wants to self-improve. If you had a house full of furniture, would you keep it the same way all the time, or would you self-improve, house-proof? I know people that change their furniture around because they're tired of the same old. But now, how do you think about it? How do you restructure your life or your personal growth? We're waiting for your call. If you'd like to call in, we want to hear from you. But we are having that discussion today. We're having this discussion right here, and we're live, by the way, so that all of you know that we are live, reshaping ourselves. When you reshape, we talked about Play-Doh, and I thought about clay and Play-Doh being something to reshape. Maybe you want to add something. For instance, most of us drive cars. Most of us understand the language of transportation. They're making cars for the future, way ahead of their time. They're changing the way cars are, for more space and more change. Are you allowing that in your life? More space? Or some people have no room for change. So when you reshape yourself, are we talking about you? Or are you just fine where you are? Same old, same. Many of us are people of experience. Something significant has happened in our lives. Come a little closer. I said something significant has happened in our life. How about this one? Something significant is happening in our life. Whether it be the path that you're on right now, Your choice, you being the person that you are, whether you're impacted by positive or negative environment. And I want you to think about this. We're going to talk about some significant things that have happened and that are happening. How many things have you been influenced by in the last month that has affected you? Is there anything that you all have been influenced by that has affected you? For me, I think social life. When you are influenced by friends, family, you start to build your own shaping. You don't have to follow the crowd. You can be one of your own mind. Or you can follow the crowd. Trish, what about you? What has influenced your life or affected your life in recent days?
Something that has influenced me, I would say what I'm studying now in college, something that has influenced me is sociology. It talks a lot about being yourself and how it's so easy to follow the crowd and it's so easy to put yourself in a box. But it has influenced me to think more about thinking for myself and also understand why others do what they do. So, yeah, sociology has influenced me a lot.
Yeah. We're going to talk about the Play-Doh and the clay for a minute. Anybody knows that if you're working with clay, if you put too much water in it, it changes its consistency. And that's why Play-Doh makes it just right. I'd rather buy Play-Doh than clay. But now what about you? Are you molded just right or formed just right? Because sometimes we can get too much influence. And when we're and get that way, we lose our consistency. We lose what would be our purpose because we let others decide instead of our being able to develop our mindset, develop how we think, develop how we feel. Now let's think about something. How many of you have ever watched a movie or heard a song for the first time and it has changed something because you've listened to the words or you saw it in moving action? How many of you have had it alter your mind or change something?
I have.
Okay, you want to tell us about it?
Yes. I was studying a play actually, and I saw the movie of it and it changed my whole perspective of the play and it made me feel what the main character was feeling and the antagonist. And so it really changed my mindset because when I started off, I was like, oh, I understand what the antagonist has going on. And then when I saw the movie, it made me change my mindset on whose side I was on. So yeah, it's been the play that I was studying this week.
Yeah, very nice. So impact. What happens to us has a strong effect Any of you that are out there that say, oh, doesn't bother me, something in your life, remember the question I asked? Something in your life will affect you. And it will cause change. It will cause influence. It will mold you. That's why I ask. And that's why when you work with Vibetalk Facing the Lion Healing Center, you learn to develop your thinking skills. No one's going to give you the answer. If you go back when we first started, you'll see how we developed and how other people had thoughts. Now, I want you to think about this impact and what has impacted your life. Many of us say, I need to make some changes. And so they go to an endless list of finding out what changes they need to make. While other people are stumped by this because they know that they need to make the changes, but that's as far as they go, the knowing. Now this should be followed by action. What are you going to do about it? The welling of yourself. Sometimes our past behavior is ill, or we didn't handle something the right way, the best way that we could have handled it. And then we say, I'm going to do this a different way. And so we start to well ourselves when we talk about the choices that we have to react to something. And we can reshape ourselves if the opportunity arises. Many people have moved throughout their lifetime and they have said, that really shaped my life. Some have even lost their jobs. And they say, because that happened to me, it shaped my life. Shaped the direction. When we were children, the things that we went through as children may have shaped us into the adults that we are now. And if you have a mentor or anybody that you look up to personally, you know what you've said? Wow, that has shaped my life. You ever met somebody that you just say, wow, they really affected my life? In fact, I saw something this morning and I mentioned that a person had really defined my life, really gave meaning to me outside of my parents, outside of those who set the first examples. It was one of my teachers that had an impact on my life. And to this very day, that person has affected my life. What are you reorganizing to help you to gain yourself? How many of you have gotten upset about something and you had to recompose yourself? If you've ever been upset, angry, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. What do you do to recompose yourself? Did you sigh? Did you breathe? Inhale, exhale. Did you pause? Gives you room for thought, doesn't it? When we are reshaping for something, we are modifying, reshaping. We're not changing the idea of who we are because we are born individually. We are making improvement, and all of us need to do it at one time or another. We must do that. Reshape, reform. What is the latest that you've done to reshape or reform? And I want to get into people who um, think about going to the gym. You say, I go to the gym, and I ask, so what are you working on? You don't stand there and be stumped. You will tell me what you're working on. I'm working on core. I'm working on abs. I'm working on my ankles. I'm working on weight. I'm working on getting in shape. So I ask you today, what are you working on when you reshape yourself? Going back to transformation of the mind and how we feel and how we think. Is there room for us to be able to believe that things have open ending conversations? There are some of us in the room that may think that a conversation should go one way and that we all should be in agreement with things that are being said. And so you know what we do? And this is what I cannot stand. We agree to finish my sentence. What do you think I'm going to say? We agree to what?
Disagree.
I hate that. Because you know what that says to me? Maybe not to you. That says to me that you went along with what a person felt or thought because you didn't want to rock the boat. How about I respect you and the words that you've said? Period. There must be another word for that. Because you know what you're saying to me? And we're going to hear from Trish in just a minute. When you say I agree to disagree, I don't want to make waves. We want to keep this conversation going peacefully. I don't want to cause any problems. So I'm just going to shut up because what I say doesn't matter. I agree to disagree. What a statement. Trish, how do you feel about that?
It
And
feels like
don't agree to disagree.
it feels it feels like when people say, now don't get mad, but or don't get upset, but that's what it feels like to me.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what you're going to say is going to make them upset. You know what you're going to say is going to make them mad. And that's the same thing with agree to disagree. Um, if you can't be honest with that person and they're going to get mad at you for being honest, then you can't control that. That's a them. That's them. But yeah, I don't like that saying either because it feels like an eggshell conversation. You're
Yeah.
walking on eggshells, you can't say what you want to say, and you're afraid to that it will cause like turbulence in the friendship or
Yeah.
relationship. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's how I feel about that.
Yes. So we can change. We can have evolving, limitless conversations. Now, people are forever changing their identity, and that's up to them, and we leave that up to them. The plastic surgeon is a multi-billion-dollar business, okay? People change themselves. They don't like their nose, they say, I'm going to go get a new nose. They don't like their lips. They don't like their wrinkles. They don't like their fat. They don't like this, that, and the other. But really, does it change your personality? Will it change your personality? Because no matter how many times you go and get that new nose, that stomach reduction, that facelift, the Botox, how can you reinvent your true person? Do you think about your focus? Because contrary to you getting all those changes, and we're not saying it's right or wrong, does it help you to stay focused emotionally, spiritually? Does it help you in your physical growth? So why do we even want to reshape ourselves? Why would you even want to think about that on Wednesday Wellness? Because people are walking around inside of themselves disconnected, stifled in life, not knowing which direction, even if they had a compass to spell it out for them. Because of experience, they look for answers. And that's normal for us to look for answers. But these answers sometimes lie beneath the walls of you. Your walls. Your exterior walls and your interior walls. The walls of your soul, that is you. It's going to determine if you're going to be positive, optimistic. It's going to determine whether your behavior says, welcome to the new me. Or you're going to look for answers on the outside of your interior walls. We think about personal growth. What have you personally grown from? And when we think about personal growth and reshaping, let's talk about planting. My mom and I, we were talking about planting the other day. And she loves flowers. I love flowers. And we were talking about the seasons. Now, is this your season to change or to plant? And we're talking about growth, seeds of confidence, seeds of determination, seeds of loyalty. Where do you stand in your personal growth? How does the planting fit in? Because it's like planting. Suppose you went out and you prepared the soil. You had to get everything prepared. As you put the seedling in the ground, you nurtured, water, and wow, weeks later you saw no change. How would you feel about that? Would you dig up the seeds, or would you start to add things that might help it along? maybe add something that you know is plant proof. And so you nourish it that way. You're paying attention. And you come back a couple weeks later and you finally see sprouted roots. How do you feel about that? You say, hey, look, my plant is growing. You're so happy you're going to tell everybody. You wouldn't even run to tell your pets. Because that's new roots. And you say, look at my plant, it's going to start growing. You are like that plant. Invest in yourself. Take a little time to do that personal growth with positive change. We talked about the workplace. Some of us go to jobs that we absolutely dread going. So how do we change it? Because we know that we have to have a job, and you just can't go around quitting jobs as if it's going to be the next latest thing that comes by. Because you have bills, you have adulting to do. So what do? You say, aha, I have choices. I can be effective for this season of planting in my life. I can become a great leader. I can show myself to be an effective employee. And I can manage the assignments given to me, staying focused. So life, when we say get well, be well, stay well, we're asking you to be able to cope with whatever you're facing and making you well again. And we all get sick at times. We ask that you consciously create, just like with the clay and the Play-Doh. If you get 5 kids, if you have not done this, and I say this because I am an educator and I've literally watched kids and how they develop Play-Doh. I watch my grandson when he loves Play-Doh when he was a lot younger. And he would shake that and play with it for hours. You know what they do with that? What Play-Doh has done, the makers of that, they've made it for children to help them to think, to use their cognitive development, their mind, to be able to craft up ideas. They say, look, I made a rock. Look, I made a ball. Look. Children get very creative. Oh my goodness. They even have a Play-Doh section. I promise you, if you go down that line of creativity and Play-Doh alone, you have every color. You can make ice cream, all this kind of stuff in their world. It never stops. So I'd like you to be that when it comes to transformation of your life, to get well, stay well, and be well. Reinventing yourself. What if Play-Doh was only 3 colors? Would that be pretty boring? Whoever created Play-Doh was very smart because kids love that. In the earlier years of my teaching preschool, playing with that. You know, they're constantly playing with it because they want to mold it. And you know, the creator of Play-Doh, you know what they did too? They made it pliable. You ever had Play-Doh that's all crumbly? You know, suppose as an instructor we would put that on the table for the kids. Would they be that interested? No. They're going to say, what is this? I can't even work with this. They're going to be frustrated. But Play-Doh is pliable. It gets in your hand, the softness of it. You can squeeze it. You can shape it. You can reshape it. You can rebuild, make it small, make it big. So many colors. Literally, I just discovered it's not just one sort of color. They make all these beautiful colors. In your life, does your life look like that? That Play-Doh that you can reshape, redo. And of course, you've got to stay focused on keeping it pliable. Because if not, just like our lives, it can dry out, get tired, get sick, get old, boring. But you must challenge yourself, just like those babies who challenge themselves when you put them in a group. Reshape your life. Today's Wednesday Wellness, we're going to be right back with Trisha's Treasures. Don't go anywhere. Be right back, we promise. Be right back. Stay tuned. Facing the Lion podcast and healing center is brought to you from Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast. Our healing center is a center designed for you, your families, and your loved ones. Come heal and grow with us. The Healing Center. Vibe Talk Facing the Lion. We're back. And now it's time for Trisha's Treasures.
Honestly, I've been having so much interesting experiences with reshaping my life and reshaping how I view myself. And that also ties into how I'm reshaping my life as well. And I'm so grateful that I started thinking about, is this really how I want to always view myself? Is this always how I want to feel when I see myself in the mirror? And it's so important to me that the perspective has switched up for me. It has reshaped for me because it's like that Play-Doh. Once you seen that same shape for the longest, you start to think, hey, what can I do different? I'm tired of looking at it like this. And the interesting thing about clay is if it gets crumbly or dry, you can put some water on it and then you can reshape it, remake it into what you want it to be. And so that's what I did. I watered my clay, I watered my life, meaning fill it with things that cleanse my mindset, refill it with things that affect me in a positive way, which is things I love to do, things I believe for myself, which is I believe that I can be successful. I believe that I'm beautiful. I believe that I can do anything I put my mind to. So after I did that, it becomes easy for me to reshape, remake, refill, redo. And I hope you guys find that to be easy for you to reshape your life and find things to space to think about reflecting and reshaping who you are. Thank you.
Trisha's Treasures is brought to you by the Healing Center, your center for healing. Let's start that journey, you and your loved ones. Join our workshops. We have one individually for you. If you'd like to hear more of Trisha's Treasures, please go to our YouTube page, our Facebook page by the same name, and you can hear more of Trisha's Treasures. Thank you. Trish, thank you so much for that. I appreciate that so much. We want to just let you guys know how thankful we are. Trish, I'd like to say a thank you to you. Thank you while you are endeavoring in your new career of teaching. That these are exciting times. You still make it a point to be here. We're not doing less of Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast. As we are behind the scenes, we're working on things. Our workshops are now the days that we named for instance, this one, Wednesday workshop, Wednesday, our wellness workshop. If you want to join our workshops, they are ongoing. And I want to tell you about Wednesday Wellness. That's not just for women, but we will have ones that are geared toward women because we started out that way. Our wellness is always to keep on welling ourselves. We have wonderful creative ideas that we want you to see. Our expressions through art is also brought to you by the Healing Center. That is all about art. And speaking of art, we still need art supplies. So we thank you for your donations and those of you who are out there and who support this. Just remember, every little bit counts. Our men in their emotions. This is exclusively for the male, and this will help all of us to understand that they too have emotions and stress, and that's an ongoing program. So if you men or male species, if you want to get involved in that, 1-888-721-9260. Friday, we have what is our Finally Friday. Finally Friday is our workshop that builds on your craft, your ideas. And you like painting, you like drawing, we will do things that have to do with healing and emotions. Check it out. It's going to be a lot of fun. How are these supported? By your donations, and we gladly will accept them. And we say thank you. Am I forgetting anything? Oh, our children's. That's the announcement. I'm making it right now, Trish. We have a children's. It will be starting at the end of May, okay, for our summer program. It is our children's workshop that will be sip and paint. The only thing that will be sipped with our children are enclosed drinks like your juice boxes. So let's be clear on that. And that's where they can come in and they can do arts and crafts. It's going to be attached along with Camp Read Along. And it will start at the end of May. So parents, you can bring your children there. We're going to have a lot of fun. All of the above mentioned programs, if you go to our page, you will see it. It is ongoing. And we want you to take advantage. Even if you're not in the community, you're welcome to be there. We are in the high desert. And we look forward to partnering with so many of you. Thank you, Trish, for this Wednesday Wellness, and thank you for endeavoring to make it so much more than what we ever could have imagined. And I want to say to our audience, thank you. And if you don't see us, you have what? Almost 980 something videos to watch. And we do put out new ones on a weekly basis. We are still here, and we hope that you are still with us. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to having all of you join us next time that we are live. If you have any questions, any concerns, you may call us during, before, and after our program, 1-888-721-9260. And the other one is 661-795-0475. Thanks, everybody, and I wish you wellness.